Hello?
Yo, what's up, dude?
Holy shit, I have morning voice. I sound so much deeper.
Oh my god, dude, that is such a radio voice. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's morning voice.
Morning wood? Do you morning wood right now?
Yeah, this is my penis talking.
That's where the morning voice comes from.
And how do you think I get laid so much? My
Yeah, of
penis is all
course.
talking.
Yeah, you're known for it. You're known for it. One
Yeah,
sec.
exactly.
Okay. Oh yeah. Can you turn your camera on? All
Yeah,
this
one
morning
second.
wood talk. I just gotta see what you look like. You know.
Oh,
See
I
what
gotta put on pants.
you don't have to.
No, I do. It gets chilly in here.
I
I
see.
don't know where all these shit jokes are coming from. Is
I'm
this
all
working?
about the shit jokes, baby. Is
Holy
it?
shit. I am not this dark. I swear I have more privilege than this.
Okay, let me see. Did you say more privilege? That's a good.
Yeah.
That's a very 2023 joke. Let me go ahead and pop you out here. How the fuck do I do that? Dude, there's surely a
Turn me
way.
down, you mean?
No, no, no. I gotta pop you out so that way I can
Oh.
get your camera.
Let me
Oh, there you
fix my
are.
color. I wish I was this dark. My parents would love me.
How do I? There we go. Oh, there you are.
Oh, nice.
Make you bigger.
1 second. I gotta turn off my camera and I gotta fix it. What's going on? Why can I not use? Why can I not edit my camera? All right, 1 second. Sorry.
Don't worry about it. This is gonna take me a million bajillion years to set up anyway. That is Torte de Lini. That's right. Squidward tortellini. You do kind of have Squidward vibes a little bit. Wait, did he leave? Is he gone? Is it just me in here? It's just me in here. I see. Well, okay, you didn't hear the Squidward comment then. That's good. Oh, wow. What a great product. I think I'm going to grab a Diet Pepsi real quick here, guys. Just give me a second.
Oh, hello.
Oh, dirty dog. Oh, who's been a good boy? Yeah, you have. You deserve this. Oh, hey, sorry. Didn't hear that, did you?
Yeah, no worries at all. Do I look alright? I look a little dark. Christ.
You look great.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I don't know why it's so dark. I'm like trying to edit the what's it called, but it's not.
Why do you have
It's not adjusting at all.
the Nvidia blurring on?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get off.
What are you trying to hide? What are you trying to hide, big boy?
Oh, like background. Let me see if I can fix it. It's actually set to Logitech. That's why I'm confused. Oh, there we go. Sick. Cool.
How's his audio, guys? Everything seem good?
Um,
I think it's good. I think it's G. Oh, turn your camera off again. I would imagine that's because you shut the Nvidia broadcast. Audio's handsome. Yeah. Good audio, handsome man. People are saying you're handsome.
oh, thank you. My mother would be proud. This is what a multi-ethnic person looks like.
But can't see you right now is the one thing that's.
Oh, really? Oh, it's on for me. That's so weird.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
I see. Okay.
Oh, okay, great.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, yeah, you're gonna have to hold my hand on this one because I woke up and saw what was we had to talk about.
Wait, am I missing something? One sec, one sec, one sec.
Yeah, I think he talked about or I think they talked about what we were supposed to talk about.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, now we're good. We're good. We're good. Okay. Okay, everybody, welcome to the Talking Esports podcast. This is the, I don't know, 50th. The editor is going to go ahead and put in just right here the number that we're on. Welcome to the podcast. Of course, it will be Torte de Lini back with me today, who's kind of become a bit of a co-host of the show at this point. And we're going to be talking about the patch. What do we think about it after, a month of the patch being out, and also the Berlin Major? So, Tort, how have you been doing since we podcasted last time?
Oh man, thanks.
Oh, there he goes. That's a good step. That's so how he's been feeling is he doesn't want to fucking podcast with me, apparently. I guess that's the answer. Are you back?
Am I back? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Your camera's off again.
How you been? I'm out. Get me out of here.
Peace.
Too hard of a question.
All right, how you been doing? How you been doing, buddy?
I mean, I've been, as I can't help but mentioning, I do guides, and yeah, my head's been down, just like trying to keep up with this patch, or I guess series of patches, and yeah, man, it's been rough, man. Like the changes. I mean, I keep saying it as a player, I love the patch. As someone who has to provide, an innumerable amount of resources for players, it's extremely exhausting to have to keep up with all these changes and have to keep up with all the different heroes that have been revised. And yeah, I did something like I don't know, like 2,400 changes, like 12,000 words written in changelog. So
my God,
yeah, I'm exhausted, but I'm sure for you it's a lot more fun, no?
Yeah, I'm chilling, dude. I'm chilling. I just got to do, the occasional video. You got to do the patch analysis, obviously, and after that, you're kind of chilling. Whatever hero you figure out to spam, you kind of make a video on that. You did finish though, right? I think I just saw on Reddit that you just finished updating all of the guides.
So the short version of that is basically like every patch that comes out, I try to get it out within like 2 weeks. Like 7.0, that was like 1,400 changes. I try to get it out in 1 to 2 weeks. And then it's like, the meta constantly changes, right? So you have to keep up with revisions. You got to keep up with the changes. You got to keep up and do a second pass. So I did finish the first changes, so 2,500 changes, I think. And now I'm almost done with the second one, which is something like 300 changes, I think, for 30 to 40 more heroes. So yeah, almost done, but still got to test and still got to update. So
what have been the biggest problems for you? Like, is it items? Is it like a specific hero? Like Klink's got reworked, right? Was Klink's a big deal for you?
Honestly, for for Klink's, initially for me, I had read him as a 1, and then I saw him be played a little bit more as a 2 with phylactery, and then now I see him being played, I think, like 90% of the time as a 4.
Position 4.
Those heroes are not so bad. It just takes a little bit of an obsession or preoccupation to kind of follow those changes, right? But he's pretty straightforward once you understand them. It's heroes that can kind of be played multiple ways or can kind of pick up any item, and you have to kind of find an answer for a hero that has multiple answers, right? So a lot of off laners, they like to go Vanguard, and then after that, what do you recommend? Pipe, Crimson Guard, or Greaves? Or maybe you don't recommend any of them. When do you prioritize?
Okay, everybody, that's going to be Torte de Lini and the Talking Esports podcast. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. And we will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. You're back.
Am I still? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah. Can't see you.
For some reason, it says I was in the call by myself and kicked me out.
Fucking Discord.
Good start.
I'm just gonna blame Discord. I'm gonna blame Discord. All right. Turn your camera back on, big boy. There.
Oh, Christ. This is. We call it 8 a.m. stuff, man. It's like 9 a.m. now. So. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. To finish out my answer, it was really simple. It's really basically, yeah, the heroes that can go multiple paths are probably the hardest. Like, when do you recommend Octarine first? let's say for Doom versus, Arcane Midas and everything else, or
Yeah.
for Ogre Magi, same thing. When do you go Vanguard, Boot to Speed, Midas into Arcane? And when do you go, let's say, Vanguard, Arcane, Midas? Which one do you recommend? Because there can only be one answer
Yeah.
in a guide, right? It's not that flexible.
Yeah, no, to be honest, like whenever I make hero guides for my YouTube channel, I struggle with the same thing where maybe there's something that I'm spamming that I really like playing, and I think that it would make for like a good, funny hero guide. But when there's like 12 different paths that you can go, then it's a lot harder to make a YouTube video about it, because you want somebody to have some really easy like skeleton thing that they can follow, not just like, if they have this, then go Echo Saber. If they have this, then go for this item, and then this, and then it's like too much. And at that point, you're not doing a guide. You're just kind of saying, hey, no Dota, which is like, that's fucking useless, So I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, guides, they're inherently inflexible. So you have to kind of impart a knowledge where it implies a flexibility, but it's based on scenarios that are just innumerable. So,
Yeah.
that's why we have situational items. That's why we have like a bunch of policies for my guides. But yeah, no, we're on the same page 100%.
Usually whenever I'm doing a like YouTube guide, and this always pisses me off when I get these comments where people are like, you didn't mention that if this happens, you need to do this. And then I don't respond, but I want to respond like, well, if I did that, then the guide would be 15 minutes longer, because I would have to consider all of these 20 scenarios as well. So like generally what I'll do is like after I'm done a script or done a video is like, I'll go through and I'll just cut the exception cases, because it's like people can figure out those exceptions themselves when they play it. And otherwise you're going to be including way too much in there. There's so many exceptions in Dota.
Yeah, I'm sure you also get comments that are just blatantly wrong, but they talk with such confidence that like you get other people who also think they're right.
Yeah.
And then you have to sit there going like, huh, I didn't, you have to give this like diplomatic.
You back?
Dude, what is going on? Like,
I don't know.
It doesn't think you're here. It doesn't consider you a real person.
They can edit this out. Don't worry. They can edit this out. No, I know what you're saying about the, I know what you're saying about.
Can we restart the call? Like, because I'm still alone.
Sure. We can restart the call. All right. Well, I'll cut all of this out. Editor will cut this out. Shout out to the editor, doing a great job here. I'll reconnect. You know what's bullshit? Okay. I have Discord Nitro. This should hypothetically be a better product because I have Discord Nitro, but it's not. Anyway, on what you were saying.
Agreed. This is the Skype of this generation.
It really is. You were saying like people that are confidently wrong, you kind of got to be diplomatic. Yeah, because we've all been there. I think in our like Dota journey. And yeah, I mean, a lot of the time I actually ignore that shit now. Like I don't even bother. But okay, anyway.
I have friends who read it for me now, but yeah, since I don't play ranked, I can't say like, look, I have the ranked, I'm an immortal rank or da da da. I think I know what I'm talking about. Now I can only say I've been doing this for 10 years. I know, I do the research, I do the workload. So
yeah,
I'll double check your feedback, but I'm not sure it's right.
Even when you have rank, when it comes to like YouTube comments and stuff like that, you can't like pull it out as like a card, because then you just look like an asshole. It's like, you maybe win the argument, but you're winning the argument in like a cheap way. So it's kind of like one of these things where like you want to get high ranks so you could hypothetically do that, but then you never actually do it. It's really weird. Like Dota, there's just this like moving goalpost where you think at some point people will start trusting your opinion on stuff, but then it never really comes no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, we can talk about that forever, I think, because I definitely have more to say, but yeah, I'll split it. I think you said it perfectly there. But I think turning it back on you, what was it like? Because you were doing Dream League, you were doing tournament. You did the Berlin Major, I believe, right? That was definitely great. How was it to go into the Berlin Major with the new patch and everything?
That's a good question. I mean, I was going to ask you what your opinion is on doing a major after a new patch. So I guess we can both kind of give our answer.
Yeah. Well, yours is a lot more interesting than mine for sure. So please start.
I mean, for me, I can't help but view it from like the fan perspective. I think that it makes for extremely interesting Dota to watch. I think it was really chaotic. It was super fun. Like the last few days of Dream League and the major as well were like some of the most fun days that I've ever spent, like watching and casting Dota, just seeing Dota geniuses like figure out a completely new game and kind of bring it back to like find ways to bring it back to the old game where it's like, okay, we can take this thing that's like really chaotic and then control it, and then all of a sudden like our old strategies and stuff work if we control it in this sort of way where like we pick these heroes and we go for the wisdom runes at 7 minutes. It's like, okay, now we're playing old Dota again. It's not as chaotic. Like that's beautiful to me. Like that's the art of being a professional gamer. So from a fan perspective, it's fucking amazing. And I think the way that it panned out, where the teams that were considered the best in the world actually ended up winning. Like the team that won the previous major won the next major, Gaming Gladiators, of course. So It's not one of those things where you can go and cry about like competitive integrity. Clearly, the most competitive teams definitely won, which is great, or they did very well. Obviously, there's like a level of some teams are good on an old patch, some teams are good on a new patch, but still like it didn't shake up the meta where it was completely random who won. So that means I think in the future, we're going to be getting more patches before majors. Like Valve is going to feel more comfortable with that. And I think that is really good for the game, because what is better for advertising a game than a new major or a new patch with major players playing it and all this chaos and all this hype surrounding it? Like if we can achieve that as a game, that's fucking amazing for getting people to come play the game. So that's my opinion on it. I think it's a great thing. I fucking loved it.
As a fan, I also loved it a lot to see, if the old patch, it's just kind of same strategies, or, who can, most efficiently take advantage of a very established patch with very established heroes and very established meta. With the new patch, it's very exciting to see who has the versatility and the endurance to encounter, what can seem very strong initially, and either, push that to its limits, or more importantly, be able to overcome it and counter it in a patch that, not everything has been discovered or not everything has been completely understood and tested. When I think about the Berlin Major, I think about the last time OG won, and I think that was also right before a patch came out, right before TI came out, right before TI started.
Yeah.
Is my memory correct there?
I've dog shit memory on the tournaments.
Patch, I think like 2 weeks or a month before TI came out.
For the first iteration of OG, where they, you mean the TI winning OG?
Yeah.
Like the pre-TI run with Topson, where they won like the opens. I think that was like right on a new patch. I'm fairly sure.
I think when they won the second time with remember that IO mid shit? That was fucking weird. I think that was based on the new patch. And on the one hand, I love it that a new patch comes out. It's very versatile. On the other hand, I can't help but be a little bit of a cynic of where, a patch comes out and they missed something that they could have fixed. Like IO mid was beyond broken, but only played in pubs. Nobody played it in a professional match, and then it just had no way of stopping it. And it doesn't put a damper on a tournament or a series or on the team's achievement, but it really kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, where it's just something that you as a team have a lot of trouble overcoming, that you can't overcome, and then someone takes that strategy and just goes far with it in the tournament.
Yeah.
And so on the one hand, you see the versatility of players and teams. On the other hand, there might be a balance challenge where they forgot to, or they missed something that's incredibly broken, and then nobody can counter it, and then it just wins the tournament. So that's my view. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I didn't say that succinctly, but basically, there's a chance where there could be an imbalance that just makes it impossible to
agree.
overcome.
I agree. I think it goes back to like one of the first things you said, which is, I think there's also a beauty, and that's like the beauty I was talking about, in seeing people overcome How do we deal with the fact that Crimson Guard makes people like nearly impervious? Like, okay, we're going to. I can't help but see you zooming in your camera. What's going on with you?
I'm trying to make it because like we see your beautiful face, and then like you can't even see the pores of my face. I'm like
I
trying
can't
to like.
ignore that, dude. It's just so fucking funny. It's like some Tim and Eric editing right there. Oh, that's good. That's just you can slowly see. It's like, man, he's really into this.
I'm really intently listening. Okay.
Let's see. No, I think there's a beauty.
My bad, sorry.
I think there's a beauty in that. But I do agree. Like, yeah, obviously there can be some like bad actors where obviously they overtune something. What I'm surprised about is, I guess part of it is because we don't have patches into tournaments in Dota very often. But from what I understand, there's not really been a okay, this hero's banned. Like this hero's clearly too OP, and until we put a nerf in, like we're just not picking Magnus. Like that is, I can't think of a time that has actually happened in Dota, other than when something, at least not at a major tournament. I know there was a DPC where, like recently, where Monkey King Mischief was making him untargetable when he turned into a tree or something, and so they banned Monkey King for a day until it was hotfixed. But I don't remember that at a major tournament, so I think that's a pretty big
Yeah, that's true. I can't
success.
remember one either.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what are your favorite patch changes? I have a couple lined up that are my favorite. If you want me to go first, but
like just ones we really like, or ones that we think are strong.
just things that genuinely like tickle your fun bone. Like you just really fucking love it.
I love Ogre. Ogre. I mean, I'm a big Ogre guy, but I just love the fact that they made a hero that has literally 0 intelligence, and he can never get intelligence. And if anything, it made him more simple, right? You just build strength and whatever the team needs in the offlane.
Bro, I got this is. I mean, I want to show people my notes, but I don't because I'm too embarrassed for you guys to see the other notes. But I have Dusa plus Ogre as my 2 favorite changes. Yeah. I also fucking love Ogre. I think the idea of having a hero have 0 int, number 1, is hysterical. And number 2, it leads to really interesting item decisions where you have a hero that's like a spellcaster that now has less value on int items. So you want Heaven's Halberd over a Force Staff. You want a Crimson Guard over like an Octarine Core or something like that. Well, that doesn't give in. Or like a Shiva's Guard, for example, which I think is super cool.
For sure.
Yeah, which is super cool. And then Dusa is the same thing. Obviously, this hero was completely overtuned, but seeing Dusa die in 1 hit when her mana has gone away is one of the funnier things that can happen in Dota. So I'm glad you said those changes, because I fucking love, or I love Ogre as well. I think Ogre is my favorite change in the patch. Anything else other than Ogre?
I love the hero. I love Nyx that he's come back as kind of a one-shotter. I love the idea that that's real. I love that I'm seeing now like an item like Disperser as well as Harpoon, which is just hilariously great and really adds to like heroes. Like I saw a lot of people play like Sniper mid with Disperser as their first item, which is quite clever because obviously Diffusal's not that hot. Yeah. But with Disperser, there's a lot of value for someone like Sniper to do it. And then like, I saw you play Magnus Harpoon, which was just absolute beauty and maniacally insane. But it was just, I thought Harpoon was also just absolutely hilarious. And
it's a good item.
Is it like supposed to be a counter for like Force Staff or just heroes that escape? Or
I think it's
how
like
would you kind of interpret that.
My interpretation of it was that when they added that change, I think that if you go back and you look at all the carries that were really popular, it's pretty much just range carries. That wasn't the time where it was like Lina first pick every game. It was like Lina, Nature's Prophet, Drow. Nobody was picking any melee carries, so they were trying to come up with an item that made it so that melee carries could actually stay on top of the range carries. And ironically, I think the melee carries just became better by virtue of like other stuff. And like you don't see any Lina, you don't see any Nature's Prophet, you don't see Drow. Like these heroes suck. So it's like it's funny that they do that as a buff to them, but then those heroes also got nerfed. So you can't pick ranged carries now. Like those are unpickable completely. Like there's no good range carry, and the only good range carries are universal heroes, which is this next point that I wanted to talk about. What do you think? What do you think about them?
I think they still need to be adjusted a little bit more. I think the 2 obvious answers are Void Spirit and Wind Ranger as like insane heroes, but like have you looked at Venom 5? I think Venom 5 is almost unlosable at my level. I cannot think of a time where I was stressed at all playing Veno 5 because he's just absolutely insane with max poison sting and having like free stats at you know at 4, 5, 6, 7 beyond. It's just I think for universal heroes, they just have a lot of I mean the damage they get for free is just a
It's
little too strong in
it's
my
crazy.
opinion.
It's crazy. Like, dude, Techie's 5 or 4 has like the longest attack range in the game, amazing attack animation, and the little fucker, you just go a bunch of stats and you're hitting for like 60 damage.
Yeah,
It
what
is
is up
so
with that?
crazy, man. Veno, same thing. Like, Veno's a hero who like historically has always suffered in the base damage department. I remember they added like 3 base damage to Veno and his win rate went up by like 2%, which is insane. And now he just has 60 damage. Like, what the fuck? It's crazy. And he's like the best blood grenade user in the game too. Like, Gale plus blood
Yeah.
grenade is like a guaranteed kill. I agree with Veno 5. I think Veno 5 is insane. And you always scale to become a core too, because there's so many camps on the map and you just farm with your wards. And nobody,
Yeah,
you're not
exactly.
stealing farm from anybody by doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I loved I loved Veno 3. I loved Veno 5 a lot more. Veno 5 just feels like, and you go like Solar Crest and you go Boots of Bearing, which are the most basic, easy items to pick up. So the hero just has a hell of a good time. I'm also a huge fan of Blood Grenade. I call it Blood Bag. I keep calling it Blood Bag. It looks like, you know, a plastic bag with fruit juice in
And
it.
it just
But
pops, yeah.
yeah, I think Blood Grenade is just such a good item that really helps with lanes. This is my interpretation at least. That really helps with lanes where you know you don't really have the initiating ability to follow through or to slow someone or to finish them off if they're too far away. I've had that sometimes in my games where you know as a support and as a safe lane carry, we just you know there's no way for us to kind of close the gap or get in close on enemies to kind of you know get a kill or initiate on someone that's an opportunity. But more importantly, I love the fact that Blood Grenade can kind of just be picked up constantly, and it's a great follow through.
Yeah.
My only complaint is that you know like heroes like let's say Dazzle or like with Veno or you know Bat Rider as well. It's just it amplifies just really well something that they're already doing that just makes it impossible for you to escape. That's kind of
It's
my
true.
one complaint.
It's definitely a bit overtuned. To me, like, a big reason for the blood grenade being added to the game, like, whenever, like, I'm thinking about how the last patch was and like what people were complaining about on the last patch, and you know, they're obviously Valve is listening to players and talking to players. And I know
Yeah.
lanes were considered to be so fucking stale in the previous patch. It was literally just like, for a while, it's like you buy salves for your carry, nobody ever dies. Other times it was like you buy a bunch of tangos for your carry and nobody ever dies. And so it was just this constant thing of like, as a support, I just sit there and I'm basically waiting for my chicken to get to me with more tangos to give my carry. It goes back. It goes back to the base, sends more fucking tangos for my carry, and I'm just playing a chicken basically for the whole game. I'm just a chicken in a tango bot, and it was so boring. So blood grenades are like, okay, now you're gonna trade your life to kill the enemies, and there's more gold associated with that, so it's worth doing. So people are just fighting, like it's just constant fighting in the laning stage. There's also the lotus pools, which means you need you need to buy less regen. Regen is also limited, so it to me that was an answer to this bullshit. I'm a position 5 or position 4 that's basically playing a donkey for the first 5 minutes of the game. And if your donkey dies, you're fucked. You lose. But now it's like I blood grenade, I suicide to kill the enemy guy, and then I come back with full regen or full health, full mana. And I love that. I think that's amazing. Like, I think blood grenade is part of that solution to me.
I mean I personally love the fact that all these changes in the patch really help solve a lot of annoyances in the different stages of the game that seem like when you first read it that it's too strong or that it just solves all the problems and that you know heroes that had key issues or that were key flaws like you know Sven always gets kited or something for example. Harpoon kind of solves that or kind of helps mediate, you know, reduces that challenge. I like that the patch kind of looks to solve those
Yeah.
problems and also creates new challenges in it, right? Like Lotus Pools helps kind of alleviate, you know, regeneration in the lane, but at the same time, it creates more conflict in that regard in
Right.
terms of how it's placed and how, you know, how it spawns at each, you know, 3 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah, it is true.
Uh,
It's interesting. Like, you now have to decide between the 3-minute bounty rune and the 3-minute lotus.
Yeah,
So you have to
exactly.
play like one side of the lane depending on what you're valuing higher. And also, if you're playing the Lotus, like maybe you can't get the pull off as a position 5. So there is a lot to think about right now, which I think is definitely fun. That's the fun part of Dota, is like these new challenges to solve. One of those challenges is Wisdom Runes. Every 7 minutes, these fucking things now give double the XP because the
It's
lowest
insane.
XP hero now gets a Wisdom Rune as well when one is picked up. How have you been finding those in your games?
Uh, I mean, I prefer Tome of Knowledge. I thought the game of who can snipe it first is, part of Dota. Yeah, we're on the same team, but go fuck yourself. Or am I allowed to curse? Yeah, I don't know,
Of
but
course, of course.
go to hell. I got it first. I mean, I like Wisdom Rune. I like the idea of Wisdom Runes. I think they give a shit ton of XP. I like that the enemy team can take it, which adds a little more value for those who roam around and are annoying. The locations, great in terms of inconvenience. Kind of that trade-off that we're always thinking
Yeah.
about when it comes to Dota. I just don't know if I like it. I don't know. There's something off about it that I just don't find that great. Maybe it's where it's located, or it's right next to the tormentors, or maybe it's it just gives a ton of XP, which helps with catch up, but only for specific heroes. Where in this current meta, if you're behind, it's sometimes a little bit hard to get out, or it kind of steamrolls a little bit
It
hard for
is,
those
yeah.
who are winning. And I don't think the wisdom room really solves that. I mean, Tome of Knowledge didn't either, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like the idea of it. I like the vulnerability of it and the risk and the trade-off in getting it. I just feel there is something off about it. Maybe you can solve it for me.
I
Maybe you have
honestly,
a more
okay,
insightful idea.
as you're like talking about it, I was thinking like, okay, and this is a question for Chad as well. Like, honestly, answer this question: if you get a Wisdom Rune stolen at like 30 minutes into the game, does that feel bad? Because to me, that doesn't feel that bad. The worst part of getting a Wisdom Rune stolen is when you are a fucking level 4 support and that one gets stolen. I can't actually think of a time where a later rune has gotten stolen and it had that much impact. So I feel like if they can somehow solve supports not getting their 6, that the current situation from Wisdom Runes maybe doesn't need to be tinkered with that much, because it's not the post level 6 Wisdom Runes. It's having 2 level 4 supports and they have 2 level 6 supports. It's like John Dumaha is saying, it's the 7 and 14 minute ones that are for sure the worst, I think.
Yeah, I know. I'm 100% in agreement with you. The first rune and even the second one is pretty brutal when you don't get it. I think also the fact of its location it kind of feels like we don't know where else to put it. That's my view. But if you put it anywhere else, it's even more inconvenient or more more challengingly. It's too convenient. Like if you put it in the base, then all you have to do is spawn or respawn and then go take it. You
Yeah,
take it
yeah,
whenever you
yeah.
want. There's no risk. If you put it outside the base, away from the second ancients or away from the tormentor, then it's really far away. It's not convenient for anyone to get, and it's even farther away for anyone to steal it unless you're nature's prophet. So I think it kind of hits a level of not being convenient for anyone, but also not entirely inconvenient. But I agree with the fact that the first 2 runes are incredibly important, and yet they are also at a time when you don't want to leave your lane, right? If you're
Yeah.
level 4, you don't want to leave your lane. Or if you're having a really good lane or a really bad lane, you don't want to leave your lane to get the Wisdom Rune. Maybe that's the scenario, the dilemma they want to create. It just feels like it feels contrary to what they were doing for everything else, with the twin gates, with the
Yeah.
lotus pools, with everything else, with the free warding. I'll call it free warning. I don't really like them that much. It feels very strange to put Wisdom Rune where it is at an inconvenient location.
Because it seemed
For
like the
and it's really
patch,
often.
was trying to make supporting more fun, which is usually what they
Yeah,
have been doing in Dota for like the last many patches. Because supporting
yeah,
is one of the things a lot of people complain about. It's like, yeah, I love this game, but playing 5 fucking makes me want to blow my brains out. So they're like, oh, we'll give you these fun runes to fight over. I mean, that's why they added Tome in the first place. Was
yeah.
to give supports their level 6 and have them have
And
more
then they
fun.
made
And
everyone they gave everyone the permission to buy it, so support never.
Yeah,
Never
yeah,
got it.
exactly. Supports always get fucked is the moral of the story. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think there are some changes that need to be made for sure. I could propose a few, but obviously, I think the one thing with Dota is that like pretty much any solution will work as long as it fixes the problem. People will figure it out, whatever it is. And that's kind of the Ice Frog way. Is just fucking throw some shit, see if it sticks, and whatever does, he keeps. Whatever doesn't, he takes away, like the shrines, for example. So I expect we'll probably be seeing that with Wisdom Runes.
Neutral items too. I'm happy with the change. I think it was a little bit serving to the community who I would say most were very vocal about not liking neutral items.
Yeah.
I personally like the RNG aspect of it.
So did I.
The current iteration of tokens for neutral items, I get it. I like it. I just think it's a little more convenient.
Yeah.
So many freebies in Dota. I just noticed. We're getting a ton of free stuff.
There's free stuff. There's free stuff. At the time that they added neutral items, I was playing some casino slots on stream quite a lot. Shouts to GG.BET. Check out the casino, of course, on GG.BET. It's great.
I didn't even know that.
Great place. Yeah, they got a casino, which I would love to be able to stream on Twitch. Actually, that'd be fucking sick. But I was thinking at the time, I was like, man, seeing a random item drop and you light up and you're like, holy shit, what is that? It's like this dopamine rush, and it feels awesome. I loved that effect when I was in a game. And I feel like with the tokens, you feel good. You feel that dopamine from getting it, but there's never the disappointment of, oh, it's a shitty one. I don't want that. But it does mean that instead of getting like 5 dopamine rushes, like let's say if you're farming a big ancient stack or something, you only get 1 because one of the tokens is yours. So it's not like Storm where you're like, is the next thing a Fairy's Trinket? Oh, it's not. Is the next thing a Fairy's Trinket? Yes, it is. Like that fucking hypes you up because the first one was like a failure. So it is different. Yeah. But I will say, just when I play it and I get the token and the thing opens up, I get really happy. Like I really like making that choice. It feels good. And that's cool. So like my personal take on it is just because I feel good about it in the games. I think it's good. I haven't seen any problems with it just yet. But I could see people making the argument that like, oh, you're losing a bit of the dopamine by just getting this free token. Because you're right, it is a freebie.
My only complaint about tokens is the fact that your team can have multiples of the same one. I think
true.
I'm sure. I don't know if it's led to any problems. Yeah, in my experience, it has not. But I can definitely see it as an issue coming up, where there's just an item that's just very good, like 5 cloaks or something to that effect.
Yeah,
or, everyone can be individually smoked with what's that one called?
Ninja Gear.
Ninja Gear. Thank you.
Yeah. Somebody in chat said getting like double Philosopher's Stone or a triple Philosopher's Stone. That's also pretty impactful. Like that's instantly 225 GPM extra. Which is a little hard to beat. So I do agree, but I guess because both teams can get the double items and there's not that many items on every tier. So like as Storm, you're pretty well, you're not guaranteed, but you're likely to get like the Fairy's Trinket, for example. I do feel like it's balanced by the fact that both teams get that. And yeah, like you said, I haven't seen it be a problem yet. So I'm going to assume just because I've played a shitload of games and it's never been a problem that it probably isn't. And it feels good. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything that when you read the patch, because I assume you do a whole full patch reading, just like I do. You seem like the type of guy. Is there anything you were absolutely convinced this shit was OP and it turned out to be garbage?
Like the original patch, right? I thought Alchemist was going to be OP as fuck, but
he was.
He's not.
Well, now he's not. Now he's not. He was pre-nerf.
I mean, when I played him, I didn't feel that much of a difference, but I guess if you say he is, he is. That was gonna be my first answer, but it kind of deflated there. But I thought Alchemist would be. I still thought he would be OP now, where he would just be completely unstoppable. I mean, it felt like his one thing that was kind of stopping him from like farming up like crazy and being too strong was the fact that you had the levels Grievel's Greed or Acid Spray. Now Grievel's Greed is already there. All you have to do is worry about Acid Spray and throwing down a couple unstable concoctions. That was the thing I thought would be unbelievably annoying, and I
Well,
guess it's truly what
that was my next question. Was there anything that you were actually right about? So if you were right about Alk, for me,
yeah.
I thought Pudge was gonna be OP
For real?
because yeah, dude. Because okay, so the hook speed, right? They changed the hook speed. They made it faster. When his hook was that fast before, he was OP. He was. But the thing is, like, the game has just changed so much that even putting it to like the old Pudge hook, he's still not. This copium's being typed in chat. Yeah, I was coping. I'm a fucking classic Pudge player, man. Every patch, it's like, dude, this hero's gonna be bonkers, and it's all right. Like, there's some people that make it work competitively, like Katomi from Entity. They're making it work. Like Boxy's played it on occasion. He actually played it in the grand finals of the major. They lost horribly with it. So, but you know, teams are still picking it. So it's not like complete dog shit, but it's not like I thought it was going to be OP. So can you think of anything that you were wrong about on the patch?
I mean, so many things. I thought for sure that. I mean, but the thing is, I'm gonna think it's strong, and then it's not gonna be strong, or I'm gonna say I don't think it's strong, and then you're gonna tell me it is strong, or
Go ahead.
like Arc Warden. I thought would be. I thought the Arc Warden Tempest non-Tempest version would have more of an impact of how the heroes played, but I think all I see is just Manta style, which is, by the way, unbeatable. I have no clue how to beat that hero. I lose against it all the time whenever I see it come up. I thought the Mega Meepo thing would be. I thought it was cool. I didn't think it would be that great. But
Yeah.
now we're seeing Meepo at like a really viable level.
It's actually viable. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually insanely viable. I didn't think it would be that good. I thought the Zeus shard thing would not feel so gimmicky, but now that I play it, it just feels like, I thought it would be much more. I mean, I fell for that trap, bro, where you think like, oh yeah, shard. I'll go moon shard, and then I'll go manta style, and then I'll go, Kaya Yasha.
I've done it. I've done that quite a few times on this patch, dude. It's fucking bad, bro.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, you're just like, okay, but I still die in 2 hits because I have arthritis in my fucking knees. There's like, I'm not gonna go anywhere with Zeus. I'm gonna instantly get wrecked.
Yeah.
I thought that would be super strong. That was just dull.
Yeah,
That
maybe
didn't change anything for it.
maybe if the shard also gave him like a shitload of attack range or like attack speed or something like that. Because I agree, like you get the shard, you get the moon shard, like you get all these items, and you just can't hit anybody for that long. Like you can't do it. And by the time you have all these items,
away with it at all.
Yeah, by the time you have all these items to hit people, then all of a sudden your arc lightning that's coming from your right click is not actually doing that much damage anymore. When you have like the moon shard and shit ready to go, so
yeah, exactly.
what can you do?
I also thought Vengeful Spirit would be more played as a core. I mean, I know she doesn't attack that well, but now that she's a universal hero, I thought for sure that people would take advantage of the fact that you build Aghanim Scepter on her, and now she's got like she's always had 2 lives, but now she hits like a truck because she's a universal hero. I thought for sure that would have more of an impact, but nope, didn't really do a whole lot, did it?
I agree. I do think generally though, like the heroes that are universal, that already want to build an Ags, that also already want to right click, are really good. Like that's why I think Wyvern, Marcy, and Wind Ranger are all OP, because all of those heroes already like the items that are best with universal heroes, and they right click. Because like Broodmother right clicks but doesn't want to build an Atos. Doesn't really do that well with like an Echo Saber. Like these builds are a little fucking weird on Brood. Like you said, Venge. The Ags is pretty good, but like Atos is not that great on her. Diffusal's not that great on her. Like these good plus stats items are not that great on her. But I have heard some people say that Venge is like sleeper broken. So I mean, I don't believe them, but I've heard people say that. So
I mean, you can go like items like Manta Style work really well with her. It gives her everything she wants, and the stats are just absolutely bananas. I think she's a hero that needs the contextual lineup to end the game when she's at her peak, because it's like a Viper where you have a good string of a lead, and then at a certain point everyone just outgrows you and you just have absolutely no way of keeping up with that kind of enemy lineup. Yeah, I think an item I thought was going to be broken was Crimson Guard, and I think we can agree it's very strong.
Yeah.
I think Vanguard is probably one of the best items in the game right now, just because of how convenient it is. Octarine as well. Octarine is just
the
conveniently
Vanguard
nice.
mana boots build up to Octarine is fucking insane. Like, what hero doesn't want to go
annoying.
Vanguard mana boots is good on like Crystal Maiden, bro. Like any hero wants to go Vanguard mana boots. It's so good right now.
I mean, how annoying is Doom Octarine first? Like, could that shit please go away? Like, what the fuck? That's just Doom Octarine with Midas and Devour is just this guy just
he just eventually wins.
Just,
he eventually wins. Yeah,
I can't take that shit. I can't handle it. I can't stand it.
On that note of new builds and universal heroes, one guy that I wanted to talk to you about and see if you had any opinions on was Sumail. Did you?
Oh, I love that guy.
Did you have the pleasure of watching Sumail with Team Aster at the major, playing his Wind Ranger mid and bridging the gap between China over here and the West? So that was Sumail. The editor's going to edit Sumail in the middle there, bridging the gap.
Who is this magical editor?
He's there. He's there.
Emperor Sumail. Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge. I mean, everyone loves Sumail for sure. I love the fact that he basically that the level of communication he has with his team is like minimum, which justifies I think every pub player who says he's like I play with my team muted. I love that idea that even at the professional level they speak very simply and very straightforwardly, and they just have this instant connection that really kind of does away with the idea that there needs to be like this hardcore level of communication with everyone on your team. And for sure there is a strong coordination, but there's also I think there's a beauty in the fact that because they don't speak the same languages, that the words they choose and when they choose to speak is quite selective, and more importantly is straight to the point, as opposed to repeatedly excitedly yelling or discussing mid-game what to do. It's kind of just like go back.
Exactly.
Roche.
Dude,
I love the idea.
There's that like image that always gets posted on Reddit of it's like the bell curve or whatever, where on one end you have heralds that are just like go fight, and they're just fucking idiots, and then in the middle you have like legends, and the legends are like, we need to take Roshan because if we don't get this timing, then Vengeful Spirit's going to fall off and their Slark is going to outcarry us and then you have immortals and people like fucking Sumail that are just go like, again, it goes back to that. And I think a big reason for that is because Dota at a top level has gotten so good that like everybody, any player worth their salt, even tier 2 players, tier 3 players, high immortal players, like they've studied all of OG's replays. They've studied like current Team Liquid. They've studied Gaming Gladiators. Like, that people have seen the core strategies. That people have seen, how to cut creep waves in the off lane as a position forward, blocking both the camps. Like, they know all of this shit. They know all the tricks in the book. So really, it's just a matter of saying like, hey, I'm doing this trick. Hey, I'm doing this trick. And as long as everybody already knows the tricks, the communication can be incredibly simple. So I think this Sumail on Aster thing would not have worked like 5 years ago because things were not so simple back then. Like, for fuck's sakes, 5 years ago, people didn't even know that you could cut creep waves. I remember when people started going Vanguard on Centaur in Axe and cutting the creep wave, and nobody could do anything about it. It's like, what the fuck? This guy's got
double stout shield, baby.
Yeah, double stout shield. Poor Man's Shield was another one. Like, dude, people could not deal with the fact that there was this hero getting literally every single CS, also a jungle camp every 30 seconds, alone, getting an early Vanguard, so they just cannot die. Supports are under level. They're level 1 because they're not soaking any XP. Like, it was impossible to deal with. And now everybody knows how to deal with it because it's been around for a long time. But if you were like the first team to figure that out, you would just instantly win the game. And that happened, but that has not happened for like a long time in Dota. Even with the new patch, it's like people figured out the Wisdom Runes, the portals, we're back to normal. Pretty much.
I think what's really interesting about this patch, and it kind of accentuates what was happening a lot in the previous patch, was that the previous patch, it was a lot of, I wouldn't say routine, but there was a habit of certain things occurring at certain times as a team, right? You would get tier 1, you would get tier 2, you would then move up to the other ones, or you would, start jungling, or you start ganking around, start smoking up, and
There
start
was a flow
holding the
chart.
jungle. Right. It's kind of like the decision making was kind of predetermined. I wouldn't say predetermined, but it was
A,
very,
B, C. Yeah, you do the same shit
right.
every
It was
game.
kind of scripted in that
Yeah,
regard.
yeah.
And then in 7.33, I think they leaned even further into that because of all these different timings for items. That kind of like expands the flowchart, but more importantly also sets additional objectives that kind of give you things to do, or objectives to take in the order that they come in, as well as the fact that it kind of gives a lot of people more responsibility and duty to do things together.
Yeah.
And to take advantage of whatever advantage they have in lanes, or if they're at a disadvantage, whatever opportunities they have to maybe catch up. I think at the pro level, that's heightened even more, but more importantly, it kind of does away with a lot of the communication necessity that was needed before, where there was a lot of
That's
smaller
true.
decision
Yeah.
making being made or needed to be made.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no,
And
fantastic. Now I sound smart. Thank you.
I also think that on a new patch, everybody was kind of figuring things out. And so when you have a team with obviously a stand-in, a new player, like OG also had stand-ins, and they did very well at the major. Like, I think,
Yeah, he was amazing.
yeah, because people were figuring out a new patch, it was kind of like no team had stand-ins because nobody knew what was going on. It was just like, hey, let's just take these like 5 Dota mines and figure out what the best way to play the game is. And also, little known fact about Team Master's coach, whose name is Mad. He is actually an old friend of mine and an old friend of pretty much anybody that played Tier 2 Dota back in the day, because he was NA. He was on Void
Really?
Boys. He was on Void Boys, the ancient classic Chinese American stack that would always fucking gatekeep teams to knock them out, and they wouldn't go to, like, basically if you could beat Void Boys, then you were like good enough to be a tier 2 team. And Mad was on that team I think when he was in school, and then he went back to China and
Just he's Chinese, okay.
yeah, and then he kept playing Dota, and all of a sudden the guy's like, he was top 100 in China. He was an insanely good player. Wow. I guess he either knew or got scouted by some of the players on like the top teams there, worked his way up. And so Sumail and Mad actually probably know each other because they both played tier 2 NA Dota back then. So they actually had that like synergy going into that team. And so apparently Sumail and Mad like spent a lot of time talking to each other, and Mad would translate his like complex Dota ideas to the whole team. So like outside of the matches, obviously inside the match there's not much communication going on other than just the basics, but outside of the matches he was able to communicate like, hey guys, I think the wisdom runes are really important. We should send 2 supports for theirs and then our offlaner for ours. Like things like that they could easily communicate outside of the game through Mad, and they already had the built-in synergy as well because these two played with each other in NA pubs like ages ago, which is fucking cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's quite convenient then. So it's not like, he's playing completely blind or without any communication. He's playing with a mediator who's also the coach, who's also translating.
A guy that he knew as well, a guy that he played with like ages ago, which is so cool.
They have a rapport already. Yeah. That's very nice. Is that like how Sumail got involved with Aster through that connection? Or?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. I think probably the org just reached out to Sumail because I have heard rumors before. I mean, everybody's heard of these rumors of like, oh, Sumail to China. And it finally happened. I assume it's China. They've got some crazy salaries for their players. I'm sure Sumail's getting paid handsomely for, being rented to Team Aster from Nigma. Yeah. I'm sure that's part of it, is that he got contacted with an offer he probably couldn't refuse reasonably. But then also the fact that like he has this connection and he played and it went really well at the major. Like pretty much all the stars aligned, pun intended with, of course, that's Nigma's.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. So the stars aligned there for Aster. And honestly, we have one of the best storylines.
It's just good to see him back, right? Like, because, based on all the history and the challenges with from what we learned about Evil Geniuses and all that, I'm glad to see him performing and at a tier 1 level and in an environment that's, quite new for us, right? It's almost got that StarCraft Brood War feel, when I don't know if you follow StarCraft or StarCraft 2, but there was a time where, Westerners would go play on Korean teams, and it was like this big thing because, there were such isolated regions at the time. And it feels a little like that. It's not 100%. Obviously, the world has changed, a lot more closer and connected than before, but I don't know. I think it's very exciting to see.
It's good for the game. I think it's really good for the game. Okay, couple more topics. Both are kind of major related. The first one is Gaming Gladiators. They won the major. They won Dream League, and then they won the next major. What the fuck is? How do you feel about this team? Like, how can you explain this dominance? Was Quinn just always the best, and nobody knew?
I think a lot of people knew Quinn was really good. I can't put a finger on why exactly Quinn plus Gaming Gladiators play just really well. I mean, especially with 7.33, my interpretation is that mid is not as important as, or as, emphasized as having to win it as it was before. Is that an accurate statement, or maybe I'm wrong about that?
Oh man, that's a toughie. That's a toughie. I feel like that was how people thought it was going to be at the start of the patch because of the portals.
That would be my view, yeah.
Like, but I also feel like mid can get the runes and destroy the side lanes, and then because the mid has an impact on the side lanes, and the side lanes are important, therefore mid becomes important again, but through the side lanes. Like, I think a mid that just sits mid and farms is the biggest fucking grief in the world right now. Like, mid has to be active in the side lanes to win the game right now.
That was like that before in the previous patch, and it was so determinant of whether, at least in my experience, right? I'm obviously not as high level as you, or even at the pros, obviously. But at my level, if you won mid, or even if you didn't win mid, if you took the rune and went up to destroy another lane, 2 out of 3 games you'd probably win the game, or you'd have enough of a lead to, ensure the mid game, we'll call it victory, or lead up to a potential victory.
Yeah.
It feels like in this patch, it's still the same, but maybe the word emphasis is not correct. It's more to say that, there is a reliance on mid to help out with the other lanes, but the other lanes also have a heightened importance in not getting completely destroyed, especially, let's say, with off lane with Vanguard, as well as the Lotus Pools and Wisdom Rune. There's a lot of emphasis on that lane also being kind of secured and grabbing everything you need. Let's not forget there's also 2 agents on the offlane side now, as opposed to 1. So I kind of want to still say that mid is important. On the flip side, it's tangible, or it's connected really heavily to the side lanes.
I agree.
Who also have their similar importance. It's kind of a non-answer, so I apologize.
I think like the mid lane is unimportant. Like, the mid tower doesn't matter fucking at all. But the mid role is really important. But
okay, that's perfect.
My initial read on the patch was like this, mainly because of the portals. I was like, dude, side lanes, there's going to be so much fighting in them. Kills are worth so much. They're going to be going through portals constantly. You put your carry mid. It's going to be a carry mid meta. But then it's like,
that's extreme.
But then it's like this side lanes mattered so much that now the guy that goes mid and gets the runes and has the most levels needs to rotate, because otherwise, like you said, you lose the wisdom rune. Your fucking supports are level 4 when the other supports are level 6. You're done. You're done. The game is over. And it's not really through mid, but it's because the mid laner, if the mid laner makes a good rotation and secures like a wisdom rune, or secures a lane so the supports can secure the wisdom rune, then it's GG through that. And Quinn, going all the way back to Quinn is one of the most explosive players, one of the best players at just like figuring out, okay, I'm going to like outskill here, 1v3, get 3 kills in a lane. All of a sudden, like, my safe lane is now winning, and then they get the wisdom runes. Like, I think Quinn probably is one of the best players in the world at doing that. He plays the spirits. There's the old meme that Quinn always gets the runes. Like, he has 100% rune luck. Like, he goes somewhere, it just spawns. Like, a mid getting a haste rune and running into a side lane and ganking, for all the reasons we mentioned, matters a lot right now. And Quinn does that. So, and Gaming Gladiators clearly have players that take advantage of it and enable it as well.
I think also this patch really play to a lot of Quinn's heroes. Like we know he's very popular on Pango, Void Spirit maybe as well.
Yeah,
And
Ember.
those heroes are just those heroes are just extremely strong, both in the goals of 0.33's initial meta, as well as the heroes themselves just being very strong. So, but that doesn't, take away from the fact that he's just a very performing player. He's always been a really good mid, really, very hard to beat. He's always kind of just had a great knack in kind of that early game securing. So, I don't want to say, Quinn has completely changed the game for gaming. They've always had, some pretty decent performances, if not very good outside of TI. But yeah, the Quinn has definitely accelerated a lot of value in a lane and in a role and for heroes that really play up to what Gaming Gladiators like to do as a team and as a strategy as a whole.
Yeah.
I also think, I think they're going to win. I don't know if they're going to win TI, but they're definitely going to get pretty far. It's nice to see them both perform on the European stage for DPC, as well as do really well in majors. Do you think them changing coach and like playing more? Because I read the interview about how they play more of a, or they strategize and they communicate more as a team and as more decision making with the players, as opposed to, let's say, the coach dictating what they should do and then they have to do it.
I think their coach is important for them. I mean, I've spent a lot of time talking to CY at these events. Yeah. I would consider him a friend at this point, and I can say, like, he's one of those guys that just has this aura about him where he makes you calm and comfortable. And the guy's like 10 out of 10 Riz. He convinces these guys to go to the gym. He convinces them to eat right. He convinces them to drink right, like, drink a lot of water, not drink too much alcohol, etc. Like all of this stuff, but from a perspective where, like, he's very mothering. You know what I mean? But in a way that's like also it's like he gets you to do stuff to like empower yourself, but not in a way where it feels like he's like forcing it upon you, which I think is like a superpower. I think Blitz also does that. Like at whatever, I'm at a major and Blitz is at a major, I always go to the gym with him. I call him Gym Buddha because he's got just a cult of people following him, because he's so fucking good at pushing you to your absolute limits, but through whatever, like for me, it's like he calls me a pussy and says all of these things because he knows that's what makes me push harder. For other people, he will say what they need to hear in order to be pushed harder. And I think CY is very similar in that sense. And I think that there's a big reason that both of the two top teams in the world right now have coaches that don't really do that much of the strategy side of things. And they're more so like lifestyle coaches, and they enable people to be their best selves. I think that's probably more important because Dota players are so good right now. A lot of them have played for like 20 fucking years. Like, you don't need to tell Zai how to do strategy. You don't need to tell Zai how to win his lane. You don't need any of these things in a coach. But you do need a guy to make sure that Zai is his best self that day. Because if you can do that, like, the best team of players is going to win. So, yeah, going all the way back to CY is very important.
Meta, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of getting super meta where, it's not just, strategies or, analyzing and all that. I mean, players have been playing against each other for like ever. And when a new one comes in, they've already seen him play a lot in pubs, for example. It's kind of getting meta in that regard where there's a lot of lifestyle changes, a lot of attitude, mindfulness. And we saw that with OG documentaries. And then we also saw it with Tundra, right? I think Tundra was like, yeah, we just treat it like pubs. And you're like, okay, but there's millions of dollars on the line here. Maybe it should be a little more seriously.
Yeah.
Like, didn't they pick Medusa because the guy opened the chest and he got a skin?
He got a Medusa skin. Yeah.
Isn't that what happened? I think that's.
You know what? Honestly, if that is going to result in somebody having the most fun, then sure. C-Stone once said that's called being head leveled. Yeah. C-Stone once said that's called being a good manager. Where I think a manager can't step in is, like, to give you a specific example. If a manager, like, okay, so there's like a type of player where they're really good, but they don't know their own hero pool. Like, they'll allow themselves, because they're a sacrificial person, to get cucked. They'll say, oh yeah, pick me this hero, I'll have it in a bad matchup, whatever, I'll play it. They'll grief the fucking game if you listen to them. But if you look at the stats, and if you know the player and know what they're actually good at, and you pick them what they're actually good at in a game that's good, and you know that this is that type of person, That's where being a good coach is. If you're a 2K MMR, 1K MMR manager, and you're coming in and trying to tell a player that he shouldn't play X hero because he's one of those guys, you're going to get fucking slapped. Like, nobody's going to listen to, and you're probably going to be wrong about it. But yeah. CY is like a 8, 9K MMR player or whatever, so he does, he does know his shit. Like, you have to know your shit to a point, but also you have to know the players. You have to be good enough to know the players. So it's not really like, I feel like, yeah, there is an element of like managing to it for sure. But that's also a different job. That's like a different thing. But I do think like manager now is coach now is closer to manager than it was like 5 years ago. I think coach 5 years ago was way more strategy, but now it's closer to like to manager. So I do agree on that in that sense, but I don't think it's the same because I've heard of teams having managers that try to step in and be the coach, and the manager 100% of the time fucking griefs.
I've never heard of that. That's interesting. I mean, I used to be a player and a team manager for like, this isn't Dota, this is like StarCraft 2, Counter-Strike Source. I did it for like 5 teams, like 50 players. It was a lot of babysitting, a lot of calling them, make sure they woke up on time, and a lot of, just getting them to play their matches. I don't know how much the player manager, team manager role has evolved since then, but it sounds like
a lot of visas, a lot of getting visas. That's what it is.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay, thank God I'm not a manager because that sounds like a bitch. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like the coach has taken a little bit more of a caretaker role, as you said, for players, and it kind of makes sense, right? If you're the person who's with them the most, or most importantly, for each match during tournaments in the game, then it kind of also makes sense that you have that follow through as a coach to ensure that they have a balanced life, right? That they're not just grinding games and then
100%.
Like, skipping lunch, dinner.
Yeah,
cool.
Totally agree. Okay, that kind of brings me to the last topic, which is burnout, because we just had Dream League into Major, and now in about a week and a bit, we're gonna have Dream League into another Major. Two questions for you, Tort. Number one, have you had burnout in your life? And of course, the answer, rhetorical question. And how did you deal with it? How do you deal with burnout? And number two, how do you think the Dota players are feeling about this Dream League into Major scenario when it comes to burnout? So for you and for the Dota players, burnout.
It sounds like more of a question you would know than I would. To be honest, I'm gonna give like a relatively adult answer because I've been working 2-3 jobs all my life. I wouldn't. For me, it's hard to kind of grasp if I've ever had a burnout. I've definitely been exhausted, especially with these guys. This latest one, I had to take days off work. I think I worked 56 hours to get it out. It definitely has embittered me, and I think it's tough, man, because burnout is very personal, right? For some people, it takes very little for them to burn out, and for other people, they don't know they're burned out. They're just completely unmotivated. They've lost all appetite. They lost all interest. They only have 2 things on their mind. They're constantly stressed. They're constantly worried. My view of burnout was a little bit more of a long-term experience where, for the past 10 years, I had been moving countries and starting new companies, I think 8 times. I started in Montreal. I moved to Berlin. Then I launched a studio, and then I moved to Copenhagen. I launched a digital magazine. Then I moved to Los Angeles. I started a live stream platform. Then I moved to Russia, or I started working in Russia to do an investment holding with teams. And then I did Ukraine to do CSGO Major and PUBG. And then back to Amsterdam. And then there was a Berlin in there as well. And I think I ended up burning out both in terms of mental state as well as sense of what I wanted to do in my life.
At the end of all of that, or during the process? Because that was a lot of things.
I mean, I skipped a lot of stuff in there, right? But I think in 2009, when COVID was really hitting, and I was not getting any more roles that I really liked anymore, I started to take. I don't know. There was just. I mean, think of your life as someone who has to travel to take a new job because he doesn't have enough money to survive for very long, and try doing that 7-8 times in your life. The stress and the heightened sense of your situation kind of keeps you awake and alert and working really hard, because you don't want to be in a situation where you're, destitute or, unfortunately homeless or whatever, which I've experienced as a kid. So at that time, you're not aware that you're completely burning yourself by both ends. And then on the flip side, you're also very aware that you can't keep living like this. So by
Yeah.
2019, yeah, I was completely done, but I was also very stressed because I didn't have any work. So what I ended up doing was actually, um, you know, just completely taking myself out of it and trying to expand myself dimensionally. Um, learning projects where I knew there was no end result of, financial stability or any real comfort beyond the action itself. So I started learning piano. I started, working out and going to the gym, which I still can't stand, but it's a nice routine. I started creating multiple routines, which helped kind of create a new balance in my life, but also ensure that, maybe I wouldn't be as financially secure as I would have hoped, which thankfully has been mostly repaired, I would say. But on the flip side, you found yourself to have more dimension in your life, that there wasn't such a preoccupation about your future and about work and about, how you would end up living. That won't work for everyone, but I think when we talk about those players who, the coach helps them kind of eat 3 meals a day, they make sure they're not, not exercising or not going outside. You as a person also have to kind of have that same kind of relativity or value, where you need to have multiple wheels running in your life so that when one breaks down, like your job, that's not your whole identity, right? You don't feel like you're out of the market. You don't feel like you're completely worthless, or you don't have anything of value to offer just because an industry or a sector or a particular job doesn't need you or doesn't want you anymore. You have other aspects of your life. You're a person who's in a relationship. You are a brother, a son, a daughter, whatever.
Dude,
You're,
you're spitting
you
facts right
know,
now, bro. You're spitting facts. I gotta say, I'm feeling.
I'm.
This is a
Thank you.
good
I'm
answer.
old. I mean, I spent so during those. When, this is kind of a long answer. Sorry about that. But in
No, this is a
2019,
great
I
answer,
definitely
dude.
spent in 2019, I definitely spent a lot of time working on myself. I fucked up so many times in my life, and I've been part of so many fucked up companies that, I mean, you could sit and live in regret and as a victim. You could be a victim of that time forever, or you can just, take it as it is and just, learn from those lessons and just try not to make them again, right? So, I wrote
Yeah.
it. I wrote it on my. I have a. It's a draft. Okay, it's a small advertising, so I apologize. But I wrote a small draft on my website, tortellini.com, and you can kind of read like a short stint of my years, and it's got a lot of those personal lessons that I have. But so to answer your question in terms of burnout, yes, I've experienced, I guess, a sense of burnout, or at least a sense of being lost, both personally and professionally. And I would say that, you can only trudge forward in trying to overcome that, but more importantly, try and find a balance in your life that doesn't create a scenario where, you're one means to an end for whatever company or job or identity that you have.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's not the best answer, but
That's a
it's the one that
great that's
came.
a great answer, dude.
Oh,
Like honestly,
thank you.
the just the concept of I mean, there's a bunch of things that you mentioned that I agree with, but like the concept of finding something that you just enjoy the process rather than there's some like goal at the end, I find is like really important. For me, reading has been that thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I never read a lot in high school. Like, I don't know. I just wasn't into it. I feel like it's like math. It's one of those things where, like, you're tricked into thinking that it's boring because you have to read these, like, boring ass books. But it just was like I was reading stuff that
Classics.
I wasn't that into. But then it's like I'm actually excited to, like, before I go to bed, I'll read for like 20 or 30 minutes, and I'm actually like excited to go to bed to like read the book that I'm like sitting down and looking forward to.
Well, what
And
are you reading now?
I just read. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right because I don't speak French, but it's Candide by Voltaire.
Oh,
Uh,
Candide, yeah.
yeah, which was I just finished it. It was good. It was pretty brutal.
That is impressive. I'm quite impressed by that. Voltaire is I mean, I don't. I've read Voltaire. I've read Dickens, and I can't stand their writing, so I'm very impressed by it.
Oh, I
That.
see.
That's
I
very
was on Nietzsche before that. I was on Nietzsche.
Oh wow.
Genealogy of Morals. That one was really good. But I like, and that also goes to the concept of. I'm trying to think of a way in my head to like philosophically intertwine the concepts, other than I just thought about it as I was talking. But the concept of like having other parts of your identity that are not just that one thing. Like for me, it's YouTube. It's like I want to get the big YouTube views because it's like I feel like I get invited to events not because I'm good at actually like casting or anything. It's because of my YouTube. I feel like people watch my Twitch because of my YouTube. And like I realize like maybe it's not true, but that is at points in my life how I felt because I have my entire investment of my identity in that one thing. And that's very dangerous. I think that's a very dangerous thing for people in general is to like, going back to a French philosopher, Jean-Paul Sartre, he said that pride, let's see, what the fuck was it? Pride and shame are basically the same thing. Like shame is when somebody is like like I'm thinking of somebody objectifying me, like, oh, I have a small penis. Somebody is objectifying me looking at my small penis and I'm a guy with a small penis, right? I'm an object. I'm not the human Jenkins that has thoughts and family and all these complex things about me. I'm just this guy in that moment with the small dick, right? But pride is also the same thing as that. I can be proud that I have a big dick, right? And so in that moment, I'm still making myself an object that I'm just a man with a big dick. But the most important thing about me as a human is not any mere objectification of me. It is the fact that I'm a subject in my own reality. I can make choices. I can become. Nothing else can. Nothing else can without the impact of a human touching it or like perceiving it. So subjectivity is the most important thing. And I think anytime you're objectifying yourself, it can result in really bad things. Especially if you're objectifying yourself in a way where the only sense of identity and self comes from that one object of yourself, aka I'm a YouTuber. The moment my YouTube channel doesn't get any views anymore, I'm fucking dead. In my mind, I'm dead because that was all that I was. And so when I started reading, when I started going to the gym, just like you, when I started doing these other things where I had other things that were important for my identity, then it's like my YouTube channel doesn't give views. I don't care because that's not the most important thing about me. I have these other things where, yes, I am objectifying myself in a way, being proud of going to the gym, being proud of reading and stuff like that. But I have these other things to fall back on if I'm in the mood of objectifying myself. But also, the most important thing about me generally is that I'm a subject. All the things that made me a good YouTuber are still true about me, regardless of whether or not my YouTube is good or not. So I totally agree with everything you said. I completely agree with everything you said. I don't know how it relates. I don't remember how it relates to burnout. I guess because we're talking about the stress that can come from burnout. The pressure and the stress. Pressure. Yeah.
And it's a pressure that we force onto our environment, right? Like I'm still a guide maker, whether someone views my guides or uses it or not.
Yeah.
Whether if it's popular or not, that's outside my control. I can only do my best. And it's the same for you, right? You're a YouTuber, you're a fantastic caster, whether or not you get gigs, whether or not, right? You're not relying on personal achievement based on professional possibilities or opportunities.
Yeah.
Which is a very clear distinction, right? There's personal success and there's professional success. I personally have succeeded in making making guides in Dota 2, and then I professionally have managed to make them popular enough through consistency and hard work. It's the same for you. You're a fantastic person with many layered dimensions, and you're also very talented and great in understanding Dota 2 and in talking about it and casting it and creating interesting content. And you've also succeeded in attracting a very sizable and trustworthy audience.
Trustworthy.
Those are they're very connected, but they're very distinguished in one being within your control, but more importantly, based on your hard work and merit. And the other one is a consequence of people seeing those values and qualities of yourself and it coming through and connecting with them in a very unique and very comedic way. Comedic being your content very.
I agree with I agree conceptually with like the idea of more worrying about things that you can control than what you can't. I think generally that's like a pretty good rule to live by.
Right. You expect certain things from yourself, and then you hope for, you know, the world to come aligned to let you do the things that you want to do. But
Yep.
yeah, hope and expectation are very separated.
Yep.
Yeah, what was the question, by the way?
Dota burnout. No, I think that was
Yeah,
I think that was a good
Dota burnout.
A good rant. I'm down for that tangent. I'm down for the tangent. I wrote these questions randomly 30 minutes before, so I'm super fucking down.
Oh wow.
Thank you for that answer, dude. I appreciate how like from the heart that was. That was
Oh
like
no.
I was just letting you go because I could tell you were speaking from a place of like darkness, but also a place of like self growth. Like it felt like one of these like things where it felt really good listening to you talk about that because I can tell that you grew a lot in a very difficult period, which is always fucking amazing to see. Because like I said, the most important thing about all of us here is we're humans, we're subjects, we have the capability of becoming, transcending our past, making our own future, and like you literally were just talking about doing that, and that usually, you know, per Nietzsche, comes from a place of pain. That usually, like, you have to go through pain, you have to go through suffering, and that's how you remember lessons and transcend yourself in the future.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much nailed it on the head I mean, you've succinctly pretty much said it. I mean, I've been through a lot. I've been through, you know, I grew up, we'll talk about my life in another time, but I have gone through a lot. And I think what's most important for people who are listening is the fact that it's not, right, this isn't like a personality or an identity that, you know, you just start with. You kind of grow and learn into it. So the mistakes you make, or, you know, the lifestyle that you have can be changed, and more importantly, you can grow dimensionally to be a better person. People will still think of you as a previous self, but at least you can constantly change and not live constantly in the shadow of those mistakes or those past problems. Yeah,
I agree. We should do a philosophy one of these. Actually, we should ask GG.BET if we could just fucking shoot the shit about philosophy, because I want a tangent on this. But
I mean, I don't know. I try to watch a stream when I can, but you know, obviously it's very late for me because I'm in Europe right now. But when I started streaming a couple of years ago, and like I think a lot of streams is just me talking and ranting, because I don't know, when you play Dota alone, it's kind of isolating, and I don't know, I just don't enjoy playing Dota by myself in terms of like complete isolation and without anyone to talk to. But when you stream, it's a lot more enjoyable, I guess, because you both share the pain of when you lose, I don't know, or when you're frustrated. Or
nah, dude, these fuckers revel in my pain. This is when I have the most viewers, is when I'm raging, dude. Just slamming my keyboard. Really? Oh yeah. These motherfuckers are what do they call it? Masochists? That's the self-pain. Sadists.
I have a small crew, okay? It's not huge because I don't play much ranked, but yeah, they're pretty nice. They keep me in check, right? When they tell me I'm being toxic, or if I could play better, or stuff like that. So yeah, a little bit of curation, I guess. I don't know.
I've just been if somebody says like CS lol, I just say like, hey motherfucker, you know, Paranoid Yogurt, what's your Dota buff, bitch? I learned that one from Slacks. He said you just ask somebody for their Dota buff, and then they link, and then they're like Herald 3 with like a 42% win rate. It's fucking awesome, dude. Because
yeah, but you gotta respect them for actually following through.
One person,
they have no shame,
dude. One person did. I've asked like 10 people for their Dota buffs. 1 in 10 will actually post their Dota buff. Everybody else hides. Because they're like, oh shit, oh, I don't want people to see my fucking undying win rate. More like 200. Whatever, dude. Whatever. Okay. I think that just about wraps it up, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. Thank you for watching. That's been the Talking Esports podcast. Torte de Lini, as always. Thank you. Where can we find you?
I mean, you can find me everywhere, right? Torte de Lini on Twitch, YouTube. I have my website as well if you want to learn about my past 10 years of life and 10 years of Dota 2 guides, 3.4 billion games, 3.5 now. TorteDeLini.com. Yeah. No, you'll find me anywhere. Don't worry about it. Thanks for having me, and thanks for carrying me. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you for joining and for the story. Check out his website, guys. Actually, very interesting stuff. I would love to just talk about that on another podcast, actually. I'll see if they let us do that. That'd be fun.
All right, coach me at least.
If you're down for it.
I need coaching. I suck ass.
Sure. Okay. See you guys.
Talk to you later, my Canadian friend. Thank you so much.
All right, they're gonna cut it there. All right, my friend.
Cool.
Take it easy, brother. I appreciate it.
Thanks for everything. I love talking with fellow Canadians. Such a good time.
See you
Cheers.
next time, my Canadian brother. French
Thank you. Have a
Canadian,
good
but
night,
you know,
man.
Canadian, of course.
Yeah.
Still counts.
Enough. Canadian. Enough.
See you, bro.
Yeah. See ya.